Hi, everyone. We are back and we are joined now by Sheena Yap Chan.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the She Is Me conference. My name is Sheena Yap Chan. I'm super excited to be one of the speakers. And today I will be talking about visibility is leadership, building confidence to rise and thrive. Now, for me, visibility is important, especially as women. One of the reasons why, for me, it's so important because there's a report from the World Economic Forum that mentioned that total gender parity would be achieved at the earliest in the year 2158. So that's about 133 years from now, and I don't think any one of us would like to wait that long. This is why it's so important to show up, to be visible, to be in the right spaces so that we can show others what's possible and hopefully shave way more years off of this. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. I have a quick presentation that I'll be sharing with you today. So I hope you've been enjoying all the other amazing speakers and the amazing speeches that they've had. I know it's events like this that really make a big difference in the world. So, visibility is leadership, building confidence to rise and thrive. So, let's get started. So, visibility isn't vanity, it's leadership in action. A lot of people think if we put ourselves out there, we're too much. We're bragging. We're not, for me, it's something bigger. It's to show others what's possible, especially women. Confidence and visibility equals influence, advancement, and impact. When women show up fully, leadership transforms. You can't inspire others if they can't see you. So for me, this is a huge thing, especially growing up in Toronto. I moved from Toronto to the Philippines when I was 7. And even though Toronto is a very multicultural city, I didn't see anybody in the media that looked like me. So I always felt ashamed of who I was, my culture. And this is why, for me, representation, visibility is so important so that we can dismantle negative stereotypes and be seen as leaders in our own industries. And this is why visibility matters so much. Why visibility matters. Visibility turns potential into income into opportunity. Leadership today is about being seen as much as being skilled. Opportunities flow to those who are visible. Hard work alone isn't enough. People promote what they can see. I think for me, this one was really a big deal, especially growing up in Asian culture. We've always been taught to work hard and that our work will speak for itself. Well, unfortunately, that's not always the case. When you work hard, sometimes you're only seen as hardworking, which is why it's so important to put yourself out there, to network, to be seen in different industries so that the opportunities start coming to you. Also, visibility builds trust, credibility, and influence, right? When they see you in stages and different forms of media and podcast interviews, you're starting to build trust. And that trust is so important because that's how people will want to relate to you, want to reach out to you and ask for your products and services. You can't really put yourself out there if you're hiding, right? If you're hiding, nobody knows who you are, nobody knows what your skills and talents are, and honestly, you're doing a disservice to the world by not showing up. And this is why being visible is so important. You build that visibility to build that trust and credibility and be able to attract the right clients to you. So, I want to ask you, what does visibility mean to you? So, if you have a piece of paper or just your phone, write down this question and just feel free to share to write to, ponder on that after this presentation. So, what does visibility mean to you? So, the old narrative, keep your head down and work hard. A well-meaning message, but no longer true. Staying quiet keeps you overlooked. Work speaks louder when you speak for it, right? It's important to work hard, but it's also important to work smart. It's important to put yourself out there, to be seen, to show people what you've accomplished so that those opportunities can come to you. Like I mentioned before, what I've been taught that if you work hard, you reap the rewards. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't always mean that working hard equals opportunities, promotions. Sometimes it just means you work hard. And I want your work to be seen, to be seen by the world so that you can get those opportunities. So it is a combination of visibility, working hard. Yes, we're going to work hard in moments of our journey, but that's totally fine. But when we can learn to be visible, to put ourselves out there, it makes a huge difference. I wouldn't be here today being able to write 2 books for Wiley if I didn't show up, if I didn't put myself out there, if I didn't promote myself. So it's time to let go of this old narrative and create something new. So the new paradigm, visibility equals credibility plus connection and confidence. Being seen equals being trusted, right? The more they see you, the more they can trust you. Why is it that we, look at celebrities, people of influence, because we see them enough to be trusted. Being heard means being valued, right? If you don't share anything, people are not going to see your value. So this is why it's so important to speak up, to be heard, to share your voice. Be remembered equals be promoted, right? So in marketing, before social media, they said a person needed to see your product or service at least 7 times before they make a buying decision. Well, unfortunately, in the world of social media where you have TikToks and Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn, it's actually at least 5 times more of that. So, if you only share what you have once, not everyone's going to remember it. And this is why promoting yourself, being seen, sharing it out is important so that they can remember and be able to ask, have you be promoted, buy your products and services, and more. So this is the new paradigm we want to create. All right, so today you will learn how to build confidence and presence as a leader, navigate barriers to visibility, apply the visible framework, which I will share more on that on this presentation. Take action to rise and thrive. So if you're ready, let's get started because I want each and every one of you watching this to rise. I want to see what you're going to accomplish. I want to see you fill those positions out there and be the person that you're meant to be or the woman that you're meant to be. So I'm going to start with the visible framework. So a little story, I've been doing this work for 10 years and it's so funny because people would be like, what did you do to get to where you are today? How did you do that? And, I would always tell myself that I just did it. And when I realized that if I just said that, people can't relate to what I do, it doesn't make sense to them. Each and every one of us was different. So I realized that I needed to put a framework in place that people can relate to or people can see and realize, oh, this is possible. And so it took me 10 years to figure out this framework. So if you're in this game, don't worry. It's never too late to do anything, but I think having a framework is really important. And so this is why I created the Visible Framework, which is a roadmap for leading with confidence and impact. Visibility begins with self-awareness and grows through action. Each element builds authentic, visible leadership from inside out. It's designed to help you find your voice, own your story, and lead visibly, because that's what I really want for you to be able to lead visibly. And so this is what visible stands for. So let's start with V, which is voice, speak with confidence and clarity. Identity, lead from who you truly are. Spotlight, step forward and be seen. Inner works, I for inner work. Strength and confidence from within. B is for belief, trust in your worth and presence. L is for leverage, use your influence to create opportunities. E is for elevation, lift others as you rise. So if you see, has the word visible and each letter represents something that you can use in your own journey as well. And we'll go a little bit deeper on this visible framework because like I mentioned, I want you guys to succeed. I want you to be able to take this and utilize it for your own journey. So V is for voice. Your voice is your power. Speak up when it's uncomfortable. Share your ideas, wins, and lessons. Replace who am I with, who am I not? So what message do you want to be known for, right? I think having your message, your voice is so powerful. For me, it was, it's scary still sometimes to speak up, to share my ideas, to share my voice. But I also understand that if I don't put myself out there, if I don't share my voice, then our current and future generations won't have anyone to look up to. And so for me, it's so important. And each and every one of our voice is powerful. Sometimes we feel like, well, I'm not good enough. There's someone out there who's better than me. That's not the case. That's not true. Each and every one of you has a powerful voice. And sometimes you just need a little push to put yourself out there, to speak up, to share your stories, share your wins, your lessons, your ideas. So here's a question that I would love to ask you. What message do you want to be known for, right? For me, it was important to talk about confidence and visibility because for me, that's how I was able to get to where I am today, to be able to speak on different stages, to write books for major publishers, to be interviewed in so many different podcast interviews. It's because I am willing to speak up even when my voice shakes. If it were up to me, I would not be doing this work. I would be hiding. But I understand how important this is to speak up, to show others, especially our current and future generations, what's possible for themselves. And so I do it. I keep showing up, I keep sharing my voice, I keep speaking up, even when I'm very uncomfortable, I'm anxious, and I'm scared. So I hope this kind of helps you out. And again, what message do you want to be known for? And feel free to write that message, screenshot it, and you can, think about that after the conference, or after this talk, and really like dig deep and figure out what you want to be known for. Identity. Lead authentically and not imitatively. Know who you are beyond your title. Your story is your strength. Authenticity builds lasting trust. In a world of social media where we have a lot of filters, a lot of perfection out there, authenticity is something what the audience craves more now than ever, especially with the rise of AI. People are looking for something more human, and this is where you can come in and lead authentically and be your authentic self, right? Being able to talk about the culture you grew up in, the stories that you had, the experiences that you had. I know it feels like being different is not a good thing, but you're being different is, right? Because it sets you apart from everybody else. Like I mentioned, I was really afraid of embracing my own culture, especially growing up in a country where I thought in order to be beautiful, you had to look a certain way. And I had to let go of that notion, knowing that I was more than enough. I was good and I was more than enough to go out there and be my authentic self, talk about the stories that I've been through, the experiences, talking about my culture, being proud of who I am and where I came from. And you'd be surprised how many people will gravitate to that because it's so important to um, share that, you are beautifully and perfectly yourself, and that's what people can relate to. People can't relate to, perfect filters, having, perfection, which is not attainable. People can love seeing, the beautiful mess that you've created. This is why reality TV shows are so popular because they see that mess, right? They see the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is something that can relate to. So this is why embrace your identity, embrace who you are beyond the title, who you are, what you stand for, what do you like, what are your dislikes, what's your message, what are your stories, what are your experiences, and more. Spotlight. Step into, don't wait for the spotlight. Seek moments to be seen. Meetings, panels, posts. Visibility grows through consistency. Celebrate your wins unapologetically. I know this is easier said than done. Even for myself, stepping into the spotlight is still very uncomfortable for me. But like I mentioned, because I have a bigger purpose, I'm willing to push through that, push through that and be seen, to show up, to show others what's possible. And also, in my culture, we're not taught to share what we've accomplished because it's seen as too braggy. But I want you to put yourself out there, share every win that you have, share all the amazing things you've done, celebrate those wins, show up in as many stages and meetings and interviews as you can because you deserve that spotlight. You have a certain um, skill or talent that nobody else has, and the world needs to see it, right? So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to step on it. Be okay to be in that spotlight because it's the spotlight that helps you start getting the opportunities you want to see, right? So, if it's being on different podcasts, being on TV, applying to different stages, sharing on social media, promoting your products and services, do that. Even sharing testimonials, right? Spotlight everything that you have because men do it and, they do it with no, they don't care if people might think they're too much or that, they're too braggy because I understand too, they don't get as much flack as we do, but in order for us to move past that, we have to keep on showing up consistently so that we can break away from those negative stereotypes and be seen as confident and courageous and be celebrated for all the things that we've accomplished. To be honest, every time I put myself out there, I share something, a win, I get way more celebrations. It's very rare someone will say something negative, but if you're not doing, if you don't have haters, you're not doing anything. That's what they say, right? But start stepping into that spotlight. I is for inner work. Confidence starts from within. Address self-doubt and fear of judgment. Build habits that nurture self-trust. Growth happens outside the comfort zone. In order for us to show up as our best self, the work has to start from within. And it's important to work through our traumas, what we fear, the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome. I know it's easier said than done. This is why it's important to do this daily work, but it's important so that we can show up as our best self. So if there's a certain trauma that is stopping you from moving forward, or you're not even aware, start asking the right questions. Is there something that's stopping me from moving forward? Because a lot of people want to build confidence and they don't realize that maybe there's something that's stopping them from stepping into that greatness, from stepping into their confidence. And so we have to work from inside out. So I'll share a story like in the Philippines, I failed kindergarten for coloring outside the lines of a photo. So, I was given a photo, I was told to color it within the lines. I colored it outside the lines. And then I tried again. They gave me a brand new photo and it was the same thing, right? And so I failed kindergarten. I had to move to another school and redo kindergarten all over again. And that actually went into my adult life. I felt like everything I touched, I was an instant failure and I wasn't good enough. And it wasn't until a personal development seminar that made me realize that into my mid 30s. So it's never too late to work through that. And you need to like peel the layers of onions, as they say, to get to that root cause, heal through it to move up as your best self. Imposter syndrome is also something we deal with, myself included. For so long, I didn't think I was good enough. There was someone better out there. And now I use imposter syndrome as a positive sign that I'm meant to do something bigger, because when you're leveling up, it's going to feel weird. It's going to, you're going to get anxious. So it's going to be uncomfortable. So it makes sense, right? So every time you're feeling those moments or doubts or you're feeling imposter syndrome, just know it's a sign that you're ready to move up and you're ready to push through it. And also building those good habits, right? Reading books, listening to podcasts, attending conferences like this, feeding your mind with good stuff because people don't realize your mind is like a computer hardware. So if you were to fill it out with good stuff, then it's going to work properly. But if you fill it out with bad things, like if your computer hardware had a virus, it's going to be all over the place, right? Pop-ups of everywhere it's not working. So it's the same concept. So it really is important to feed your brain with good stuff. And I'm not saying you always have to be positive. That's not feasible. You're going to have moments of doubt. You're going to have down days, but now you have the tools and resources to help you work back into that positive self. B is for belief. Believe you belong in the room, right? Self-belief fuels visibility. Value your voice as much as others. Surround yourself with people who reflect your worth. I think this is so important because belief is really this first step to put yourself out there, right? If you don't believe you're capable of doing it, you're not going to go out there and take action. And, just because you have no clue how you're going to get to that end goal, it doesn't mean you're not worthy, you're not good enough. You can figure it out as you go. Most people who started their journey just had an idea and just went for it and kind of just made it happen, right? In my book, Bridging the Confidence Gap, I talk about the importance of ready, fire, aim, which is start before you're ready, take action, and pivot as you go. And being able to do that has allowed me to just get the results that I wanted. Have I made mistakes along the way? Yes, I have. But I realized if it didn't come with the belief knowing I can do this, I wouldn't be here today talking to you. So know that just know that you are more than capable to put yourself out there to make it happen and you'll figure it out as you go and be that voice for others as well because there's so many women out there who feel like they don't believe in themselves. They feel like their value is low and that they don't have anything to contribute when that's the total opposite. And of course, surrounding yourself with people who can help you lift yourself up, that is so important as well. Sometimes it's the belief from other people that they see in you can also jumpstart that, right? So start building that belief because really belief is that foundation where it can propel your confidence, can propel the actions that you need to take to be the person that you are today. Leverage your voice, visibility, and network. Use your platform to create opportunities for yourself and others. Build relationships that multiply your impact. Visibility isn't just personal, it's collective power in action, right? I started a podcast 10 years ago called The Tao of Self-Confidence, where I've interviewed over 900 women on the topic of confidence. And when I first started that, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I just knew I needed a platform to share women's stories, to be visible, to put myself out there. And in turn, that has led me to speaking on different stages, getting to work with all kinds of different people from around the world for corporations, and not write one but two books for Wiley, which is the top 5%, top five publishing houses in the US. So that's a big deal. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't build my platform, if I didn't leverage that to be seen as a leader, to be seen as an expert. And you maybe sometimes you feel like being an expert, you have to know every single thing, but that's not the case, right? You just need to know a little bit more than everybody else. And sometimes you're one connection away from that opportunity. Be okay to reach out to them. The worst they could say is no. At least you ask and you can move on. But, there could be someone out there who said, yes, I would love to help you. And you never know where that could take you. So start leveraging it, leveraging your network, leveraging your voice, your visibility. If you have a platform, start leveraging that because that is where it can take you to places you've never thought was possible. So here's a question as well I'd like to ask you. Who can you bring with you as you rise? E, which is the last one, is elevation. Elevation. Rise higher and bring others with you. True leadership lifts others along the way. Share the spotlight and open doors. When women elevate women, everyone wins. This work is not something to be done alone. This is something that we need to do together because it's better together and it speeds up the process when you're not the only one doing this. I know it's sometimes really hard to ask for help or receive help, but if there's someone who's lending a helping hand, be okay to take that because, um, men do it all the time. They work together, and this is why they're able to elevate each other more and take it to the next level because they understand that they have talents that they're not good at, and they're just going to collaborate with someone who do that, and then in return, just kind of trade off their talents. And so, as women, it's important to be in groups where we can lift each other up and really share the spotlight. So how can you use your visibility to start elevating others, right? So here, I want you to just kind of marinate on this question, and you can answer this later on. But yeah, this was a little bit of a deep a little bit of a further explanation of the visible framework. So I hope this kind of helped you out. And if there's one part of the framework you like, feel free to contact me and share which one resonated with you the most. So here's a reflection activity that I want you to start utilizing, your visibility moment. Where do you hold back your voice or visibility? What's one action you'll take this week to show up to show up more fully? So, these are really great questions I wanted to ask you because it was so important. And I want you to write it down. I'll leave this up for a little bit so you can write it or screenshot it, but I'll repeat the question again. Where do you hold back your voice or visibility? What's one action you'll take this week to show up more fully? So just write it down because sometimes writing it down on a piece of paper can start really helping you get clear. And there's just something magical when you write something down. Like, yes, you can put on your notes, you can type it out, but there's something, there's just like this magic. I can't even explain it when you just write it and just you see it from like a notebook. So I want you to be able to write it down because it just makes it better and it really gives you that clarity that you need. So I hope these questions can help you just kind of start realizing what your visibility looks like and how you will show up more fully. So here's an action plan. I will use your visibility commitment is I will use my voice to identify one visibility opportunity, practice one confidence habit, share one story that showcases your leadership. So I know that it's scary to put yourself out there. I totally get it. I was in the same boat as you. But trust me, there's people out there who need to hear your voice, who want to hear your voice, who want to see what you can accomplish, be the change that we really seek in this world. So, again, I will use my voice to identify one visibility opportunity, practice one confidence habit, share one story that showcases your leadership. And here's some key takeaways. Visibility is leadership in action. Hard work deserves to be seen. Confidence grows through practice. Practice makes progress, right? I always say it's the small, actionable daily steps that yield the great results. So, like maybe you're afraid to do video and you're afraid to even just start a 2-minute video. That's totally fine. I was afraid of doing video. I remember doing my first video. It took 2 hours to do a 2-minute video, but start small. Start doing a 30-second video and add 10 seconds as you go. And by the end of it, you'll become a whiz at making videos. So, confidence grows through small daily actionable steps. Your confidence, your authentic presence is your power, right? Again, you have certain talents and skills that nobody else has. And, the more you show up authentically, the more you can attract the right people into your life. You probably have heard this a million times. And I totally get it. Sometimes it's like played out, but it is true. I love to like check out different stories and medias and storylines and articles that understand like why authentic presence is so important, especially in this day and age of social media and AI. Now is the time to really show up as your authentic self, to show others that, hey, you're not the most perfect person. That's totally okay. Because it's your imperfections that really help you become the person that you're meant to be beautifully, imperfectly perfect, as they say. And here's a quote I want to leave with you. The world needs to see what leadership looks like when women show up fully. This is so true. And now is the best time to show that, to show up fully, to be seen, to be visible, to be seen as leaders, to step away from the negative stereotypes we still go through today. And so I hope today's talk helps you realize that you're more than enough to show up fully, to be the leader that you're meant to be. And just want to say thank you for showing up and being seen. Let's rise, thrive, and lead visibly. So if you're ready to do that, just feel free to start taking action, or you can also scan this code. It's my barcode that will go to all my social media, my websites, resources that can help you start building your visibility, and some other fun stuff. So I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. I hope you understood, or I hope you realize how important it is for us to be visible, to show up, because of course no one wants to wait 133 years for gender parity to be achieved. I know I don't. And so we still have a long way to go. But when we can do this together, we can do so much change for the good. And so I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen. And so again, thank you for attending this quick talk. I hope you enjoy the rest of the amazing talks that are at the She Is Me conference. And again, feel free to connect with me on all my social media. I had my barcode earlier. And I hope you have a fantastic day, and let's keep on showing up visibly. Bye for now.
Thank you. That was Sheena Yap Chan, and she is amazing. So I agree with her 100%. Let's show up. Let's change that date. Let's bring it back to soon. Soon. Let's bring it back to 20 years from now. Let's do this. We can do this. I know we can. So we're going to take a little break. We've got about a half an hour, and we will be back with Yvonne Choatson. You're going to enjoy her. All right, we'll be back soon.